What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hardcore Fab channel. I am Anthony Bronner, and today we're going to be back to work on Old Crow. So, for all you guys who have been following along, I greatly appreciate you guys watching all the videos and subscribing to the channel. But to you new guys that may not be familiar yet with what Old Crow is, let me give you a little quick background on this thing, and then we'll get started working on it. First of all, we took a 1947 Ford pickup straight from the salvage yard, built a custom chassis for it, cantilever air ride suspension on the front. Then we went on to build some sweet looking motor mounts in here for the big block and the tranny. Then we got a big giant step in the back of this thing to clear the 9-inch and those big giant 33-inch slicks. Of course, we finished that all up with some 4-link and some air rides, so now this thing will lay frame when it's all said and done. And we now have a roller. So I think the thing to do next is going to be to try to finish up some of the other stuff that's left on this chassis so that we can finally cross it off the list as being done. And to be able to do that, I need to mount things like the air tank and the batteries and compressors and all that kind of stuff in the back. And before I can do that, we need to actually define where the bed sides and stuff like that are going to be. So I think that's what we're going to do in today's video, is get started on a bed. These are the parts and pieces that I'm going to have to be able to work with to build a bed out of. Of course, we have the original tailgate. That was the inspiration for this whole entire project. And then I've got these bedsides that I picked up, or pieces of bedsides that I picked up. This one somebody whacked off already, and then you see me cut the little extension off of there. So this is about the length of what we're going to end up having the bed, so that one's actually too long. So I'll end up cutting that one down as well, and then we'll have to just build a new box to frame the whole back of this bed all in together when it's all said and done. And when it comes time to mount the tailgate, I think I'm just going to make it solid in there. There's no reason to really have it hinge and fall down because you're just going to be able to access the back of the fuel cell at that point anyways. And the bed's only going to be about yay or so deep, so whatever we want to put in it or out of it is going to be pretty simple to get it over that little bit of a lip, and we're probably not going to haul that much anyways. So let's get started. And just like that, we got our front panel for the bed. I think I'm going to call that good. Just tack it across there, evenly spaced, so it looks kind of good. I threw a little bit more weld there on the end so that we don't have to worry about it cracking and starting to tear those spot welds out. And I think that will be plenty strong enough. Plus the added strength of that piece of tube on the top instead of just a piece of sheet metal is going to give us a little more strength in the front of this as well. So now on to the sides. So that's looking and fitting pretty good. I've got that lined up pretty close to right in the center of that body line. We've got a decent gap here between the tire and the bed. I am still hitting here on this shock, so I've got to trim a little bit more of that out. And then of course up here in the front, that little piece is going to come up there and be even with this whole side. And then we'll have enough room to get floorboards and all that stuff underneath there. So I think now we just got to get this other side cut out, and we can actually start putting the box together. So I've got these pieces all sitting here now, and I've got the front panel screwed into the side panels up there. Everything's looking pretty good up there. Now I can go ahead and get the tailgate stuck here on the back. I just used self-tappers on the front. I'm going to do the same thing on the back for now, just so I can get everything kind of sitting here. I'm just going to run right through the edge of the bed right there, and it'll just sink right in here on this little lip on the tailgate. But before I can do that, I do have to trim off some of this tube here on the bottom so that it'll be flush with this side right here. So I'll do that real quick and get this thing mounted. Sweet, this thing is finally looking like a bed. Now we've got to figure out a way to actually take the box that we've put together now and attach it to the frame. So I think the best way to do that is going to be to build an inner structure in here. That's also going to hold this thing square, keep it from getting racked or anything like that. And it's going to give us a place that we can actually start mounting to the frame of the truck. Center structure, I'm using an 1x square tubing with an 1/8 inch wall. That's going to give us plenty of strength and keep the size of this thing down so we can still have just a little bit of a lip inside the bed here. I'm going to run one full length of the front, full length of the back, down each frame rail and down each side. Once I kind of get that all tacked together, then I can go ahead and try to start figuring out where the stuff is going to lay out inside there on the frame rails. And then later on, I'll build the rest of the pieces that are going to go in here and connect all of this floor together. And when I do that, I'm probably going to put some trap doors in here so we can access some of the things that are going to be underneath this bed. I threw some time with this thing, stuck on a level, stuck on the tape measure, got everything all squared up and looking pretty good. And then I went ahead and threw my eyeballs on it and looked down the side of the truck, and it looked terrible. So, long story short, what ended up happening is the body line on the cab here has a little bit of a rake to it. So when the bed was sitting here level with the frame, it looked like the truck was broken in half. So what I ended up having to do is jack the back of the bed up just a little bit. I raised it 1.5 inches higher than it is in the front. Now this thing looks like it's kind of got a little hot rod rake to it, so I'm okay with that. It is going to be a little bit weird inside the bed because you will be able to see how that bed is raked, but I think I'm okay with it in the end anyways because it does add a little bit more of a lip back here at the back, so if I do have some stuff rolling around in the bed of it, it might catch it a little bit better anyways. So I think that puts us to the point where I think I'm ready to go ahead and tack the square tubing to the skins of the outside of the bed, and we'll kind of officially have a bed at that point. It's not going to be done, but we will have a bed. Alright, there you have it. Old Crow officially has a bed. Needs a little bit more work yet. I'm going to probably fix this little spot there and kind of dress the bottom of that up a little bit. I don't really like the way that looks. I've got to stuff all the stuff in here on the frame rails. It's going to end up being in here like we talked about before. Fuel cell, probably a battery in this corner. Probably put the air tank up there, and then got room over here for fuel pump and some other valving and a compressor. So plenty of room in there for all that kind of stuff. I need to still also make the stake hole pocket box, or whatever you want to call it there, that caps off the end of the bed. And I'll probably tie that all into a roll pan that'll go all the way across and back over. Tag in the middle, of course. I do have a question for you guys though. Like I said earlier, I was thinking about doing maybe a trap door in the center here to get into the fuel cell, put fuel in it, and then a trap door maybe for the battery, and maybe another one across each side or whatever to be able to service and access all the parts and pieces in here that are in here. I don't know if it'd be better to do that all as a bunch of different trapdoors, or maybe I should just take the whole thing and have the whole floor be kind of like a tonneau cover type deal that would just hinge, and then I can get in here and access the whole thing. What do you guys think would look better? What do you guys think would be more convenient? Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you guys' input on that. And I think with that, that's about all I got for you for today. So I guess I'll see you next time.